Wow, this entire time. Thank you, Dio. Good thing I didn't do anything yet. Well, can you hear me now? You know, because I usually click on the video. I usually click on the video. Wow, this entire time. Thank you. There we go. I usually try to check myself before I start, and I muted myself earlier, and I thought I unmuted because I took the camera off, but I guess not. Thank you so much for that. Now you can hear me. What I was trying to say before is that was I was talking about my plants that you can kind of see here, and that I bought another plant from Trader Joe's because I was trying to live in a forest, and that we were going to chapter 10. Already I'm starting off crazy. Okay, cool. Let's do this. It's because I'm hungry. Let me turn this down a little bit. Happy Friday. I hope you guys are having a good day. I ain't even going to edit out the first half, too. It's just going to be me talking to myself, and that's okay. All right. So hopefully you can see this. Chapter 7 is about cloud management. Let's see. I should switch. I'm going to switch this because I don't like I like my notes to be on one side and not the other. Okay. There we go. All right, chapter 7? Yes. All right, introduction to cloud management. Cloud management involves making sure that your cloud deployment is optimized for your application and meets performance agreements. It's secure, has no faults or alarm, and is configured correctly in collecting accounting data. That is a very long definition. All right, let's see if we can get some vocabulary out of this. Yesterday we did very good with questions, so let's keep up the momentum and see if we can get just one wrong today. I was gonna say, oh, let's get no wrong, but like, let's be realistic, right? All right, so cloud metrics, which is super important, right? Because measuring in security effectively and being able to put that together in order to like really take action is pretty hard for most organizations, like accurately measuring on premise. So now with the cloud, and the cloud of course has hundreds if not thousands of more services than you have on premise, that just kind of like exponentially makes it more difficult to do so. So the different kind of metrics available for the cloud, you have availability metrics, which is about service uptime, total uptime versus total time. I was about to say, did I say total uptime twice? Database utilization, horizontal server scalability, instance initialization, mean time between failure, mean time system recovery, mean time to repair, mean time to switch over. That's a new one. I haven't seen that one. I've seen mean time between failure, mean time system recovery, mean time to repair, but mean time to switch over is the time required from when a service failure occurs to when the backup system assumes operations. Makes sense. And then network capacity. All right. Outage time, reliability, response time, server capacity, storage, scalability, storage, total capacity, task runtime, XYZ. A whole lot of metrics that you can use depending on what you're trying to achieve. All right. I don't see many definitions. Baseline. In an earlier chapter, I discussed the importance of establishing baselines where you're determining the optimal size of virtual machines required when migrating servers to the cloud. Baselines are super, super important, especially if you are someone who wants to get into cloud architecting or some kind of be involved in somehow with the cloud migration phases that are happening for a company, because many times organizations over provision. And if you are familiar with cloud concepts and like the benefits of cloud, the number one or one of the top benefits is to save money. So over provisioning or not provisioning enough really costs companies more than they maybe allocated or budgeted for, because you didn't properly establish like baselines, you didn't properly do metrics, you didn't understand like the capacity. I think yesterday we were talking about bandwidth and like server capacity. Like that's super important to understand. What does my day-to-day look like when it comes to everyone is on the network in my company and everyone is using all of our resources on a good day, right? And making sure that we meet that as a baseline and maybe go a little bit over, because you might have some days where it's just like it peaks, right? It could be something, especially if you're like an e-commerce store and you know that like during Christmas you peak, right? Because everyone has sales during peak. Like making sure that you're taking into account how much resources you actually need to spin up at a time, because otherwise it's just going to cost you a whole bunch of money. Companies don't like to do that. They like their bottom line. All right, variance. I see a definition. What is variance? So when you have your baseline established, you can determine what deviations from this are considered normal and what will require an investigation or support incident. Hold on. For example, if CPU utilization on a database server is expected to run in the 70% range when averaged over a 10-minute interval, you can configure the application to create alerts when the server is averaging 95%. These values can be tailored to the requirements of your organization, of course, and you can also use monitoring and alerting of the application to determine a baseline, and then use a baseline as your reference point to determine what's considered out the range. Okay, so variance is just literally saying what's outside of my normal average. All right. Anomalies. Once you determine what is considered to be a baseline during normal operations, you can use that as a reference to determine what is considered to be an anomaly or a system that reports metrics either above or below your expectations. That makes sense. Alert methods. Hi, you're not late. I started really like 5 minutes ago, because for the first apparently 5 minutes I was talking to myself in silence. So I really just started. We're like, what, 3 pages in. Alert methods. How do we let everyone know? A method. This is the alarm threshold is triggered or reached. The event can be sent. Push service. Okay, that makes sense. I know about push. Alert triggers. To create an alert, you must first define what metrics measure and define outside of your baseline. That makes sense. Okay, I feel like trigger and push service is going to be a thing. Happy Friday, guys. How are you guys doing? It's the end of the day. It's the weekend. I cannot wait to wake up tomorrow with no alarm. I look forward to that. Though my body now is just used to waking up at a certain time, that even if I don't have an alarm, it still wakes me up. And then I have to be like, no, girl, I need you to go back to sleep because it's time to sleep in. Oh wait, that's two different things. Okay. Collect and log in event information. See, it is event. Yesterday, they were asking like what kind of logs, and I know it was event logs. They just had a typo because there's no way it's called logs. Like what? All right, event correlation. Event correlation is the method or process that makes sense out of a large number of reported events from different sources and identifies the relationship between the events. That is pretty self-explanatory. All right, let's get an example. So for example, assume that someone in IT operations configured a network access control list that blocked an application server from reaching a back-end database on your e-commerce website. This would probably trigger a lot of alarms that are outside of your baseline metrics. You would be getting non-response alerts from the web servers trying to access the database. The application servers will report timeouts, and the network would show deny operations based off of the NACL that was defined. All right, we have forecasting. I notice a lot of these topics that they write about are super short. Like forecasting is like one paragraph, matching cloud resources is a paragraph. I wonder how it's just different, I guess. All right, event collection. I think I'm gonna skip through it again and just go straight to questions. Cloud support agreements, configuration management tools. Okay, wait, did I see anything italicized? No. All right. Configuration management is a definition. Word. There are many tools for managing the cloud. Configuration management tools create a central repository where configurations can be stored and archived. I feel like they're going to ask that, so I'm glad I wrote that down. Change management process was in another chapter. Yeah, chapter 2. Change management is a process of managing all aspects of ongoing changes, upgrades, repairs, and configurations. All right, that makes sense. Change advisory board, change approval. I feel like this is again redundant, like we said last time. Cloud bursting. Cloud bursting is a hybrid model that is mostly commonly found in private cloud deployments that are designed to use public cloud processing during times of increased load. This is often an approach to accessing, let me highlight that, approach to accessing additional resources when required. Your company does not need to make capital investments for infrequently used reserve capacity. All right. Migrating between cloud providers. Isn't the answer for everything is always maybe or depends. Literally every single aspect of security. It'd be like, can you do this? Can you do that? It depends. Maybe. Everyone hates that answer too. All right. Scaling. Didn't we just do cloud bursting or am I bugging? Okay, yeah, no, cloud bursting. Another cloud bursting. Scaling up or vertical scaling. All right, I can do that one. So vertical scaling versus horizontal scaling. Scaling up, aka vertical scaling, will add resources such as CPU instances or more RAM. When you scale up, you're basically increasing your compute network or storage capabilities versus maybe scaling out, or which is called horizontal scaling, which is adding more nodes instead of increasing the power of nodes. So horizontal versus vertical, like my capitalizations. Scaling up Scaling out. All right. You can reduce capacity. Scaling in the hybrid-based cloud. Most clouds today are based on hybrid model, and the single cloud deployments are becoming more uncommon. Some organizations may have many cloud under their management based on their needs and use cases. Hybrid cloud scaling uses the additional capacity of another cloud for scaling. And this is by definition cloud bursting, as we reviewed earlier in a chapter. So hybrid cloud scaling uses additional capacity of another cloud to scale, which is cloud bursting. Did they even actually give us a definition of cloud bursting? Okay, cloud bursting is the model where a primary data center carries the current compute load, and when additional capacity is required, a remote cloud can assist with the load. So bursting is really just kind of utilizing another cloud to handle capacity. Basically, one cloud is primary and can burst to a backup cloud if additional capacity is required. All right, that makes a lot of sense. Community cloud we know of. We know about scaling. Elasticity is pretty easy because that's one of the basic cloud concepts you should understand, which is basically the ability to automatically and dynamically add resources. Like we were talking about with scaling up and scaling out, that's like elasticity. All right, application lifecycle. The lifecycle process breaks the phases of an application into units such as deployment, upgrades, retirements, replacement, migration, and feature additions or deletions. All right, let's copy that. Application lifecycle. Deployment, upgrades, migration, it goes through each one. That is fine. Mergers, acquisition, and divestitures. Really redundant on here. Federation and single sign-on. Does it give me the difference again? Okay, there we go. That's what I wanted to know, the definition. So a federation includes external user systems, primarily Active Directory as a user repository for your cloud user accounts. And the federated approach can eliminate the need to keep two sets of user account data and also allows your cloud deployment can be accessed by other groups or companies that integrate with your user accounts using the federated approach versus single sign-on, which architecture allows your users to authenticate just one time to the cloud, and then they can access all services they have rights to without having to log into each one individually. SSO allows you to centralize authentication systems into a single system and ease administration, so you don't have to manage multiple accounts. Federation and single sign-on is super important when it comes to authentication and architecting for the cloud, but they can be really, really, really confusing. So I think what I want to get from here is that federation, like they always kind of talk about Active Directory with federation. I need to figure out like a good way to like, you know how sometimes you have terms that you associate keywords with? I want to do that with federation and SSO. I don't want to do Active Directory with federation just in case, like, I don't think that's super accurate, but I need to figure one out, but I'm going to put it down anyway. So federation, and I'm going to come back and figure out about those because that definitely comes up. I've definitely worked with that. Directory systems using LDAP are an example of SSO systems where you log into directory services just one at a time. And based on your rights, you're allowed to access the network without any additional login requirements. Single what's happening in this song? There we go. Single sign-on eliminates the need to remember multiple usernames and password combinations, blah, blah, blah. Authorization, ACLs, permission-based. Managing the account lifecycle. All right, there we go, summary. I was like, let's get to the questions. Let's skip on down. All right. Wait, let me go over summary. Just so that way I don't get caught, because I know the written be getting me. All right. This chapter focused on management operations of cloud deployment. The subject is collecting, monitoring, and management data was covered. Once the data has been collected, you can establish a baseline, which we already said was really important. Establishing a baseline helps you create alerts if there's issues. There's notification systems that can use channels such as text messages, emails, API calls. We also went into detail on determining resource allocation, configuration and change management, auto scaling. All right, cool. We know what a metric is. It's a measurement such as CPU utilization, all of that good stuff. Understanding baselines and anomalies, knowing about alerting, which we just said, cloud management support agreements, change management, resource management, application lifecycle, which we copied on over here. Corporate changes can affect the cloud, such as mergers, acquisitions, spin-off, legal and regulatory changes that always, like, the cloud is always changing. Like, just because you set up your cloud one day, in a year, it could be something completely different. And then understanding user accounts, where that includes authentication, authorization, federation, single sign-on, all that good stuff. All right, let's get into the written part, shall we? Shall we? Where is my water? All right. Cool. Question one. Ooh, what's happening over here? All right, cool. Question one. Already? Yes. Okay, so a blank is a standard of measurement that defines the conditions and rules for performing the measurement and for understanding the results of the metric. That's the answer. A metric. Number two, using metrics data to trigger blank systems, you can use thresholds to react to events at all layers of your cloud deployment. So using metric data to trigger alert systems is what I am thinking here, because that's what you're using to, like it says, to react to events. So I'm thinking alert. All right, number three. Once Harry has determined what is considered, oh, you said monitoring? Really? Using let me come back to number two. So using metrics data to trigger, monitoring systems. You're right. You can use thresholds to react to events at all layers of your cloud deployment. You're right. I think monitoring as well. They don't call it alert system. Well, some people do. I've definitely heard of alerting systems, but monitoring systems make more sense just because of how they worded it here. So I can go with that. Number three, once Harry has determined what is considered to be a baseline during normal web server operations, he can use that as a reference to determine what is considered to be a blank or a system that is reporting metrics that are considered either above or below his expectations. The first thing that's what I'm saying. Once Harry has determined what is considered to be a baseline during normal web server operations, he can use that as a reference to determine what is considered to be a anomaly or a system Oh, variance. A variance. I thought anomaly as well, but I remember the variance definition in the beginning was saying variance is going to be what's above and beyond. Variance or anomaly? I'm thinking both because I thought anomaly at first too. So it can be both, either or. We'll see. We'll see at the end. All right, number 4. If the event is deemed to be critical, alerts can be generated by configuring a trigger, right? I want to go with trigger here. Because trigger, like your trigger is what? Wait, if the event is deemed to be critical, alerts can be generated by configuring a trigger. I don't know why baseline popped in my head, but that's definitely not it. Yeah, because you trigger an alert. All right, number 5. As a general rule, the cloud providers will be responsible for the underlying blank, and if it is not defined in the blank, it will be your responsibility to maintain. Okay, so as a general rule, the cloud providers will be responsible for the underlying infrastructure. And then if it's not defined in the, I'm going with either SLA or policy or like whatever kind of contract agreement, usually that's SLA, it will be your responsibility to maintain. That's what I'm thinking. So underlying infrastructure. And if it's not defined in the SLA, policy, SLA, same thing kind of thing, it'll be your responsibility to maintain. Number 6. Spilling water all over myself. I can't drink. Okay, number 6. Blank blank is a process of managing all aspects of the ongoing upgrades, repairs, and reconfigurations. I was about to say, oh, configuration management. I was about to say, that doesn't. I thought SLA. Hey, Mike. Change management or configuration management? Because, oh, no, you're right. All aspects of ongoing upgrades, repairs, and reconfigurations. What was the definition for configuration management then? Mike, I'm in agreement with you with the SLAs for number 5. Number 6, managing all aspects of ongoing upgrades, repairs, and reconfigurations. You have change management and configuration management. So change management to me is a process of approvals and authorizations. I think you're right. Actually, can I put I was testing things out yesterday of like how to put the chat on and hold on. I think I click one by one though. Let's see. Is there a way for me to just show everything? Okay, hopefully, let's see. Let's see if it updates if you guys do another one. Anyway, number 6. Yeah, I think that's configuration management. And then I think number 7, you said number 7 might be change management, the management of a software application from the initial planning stages to retirement. I think number 7 is application lifecycle is 3 words. The management of software application. Yeah, that's where I think change management comes into play. Perfect. I am confused. So the reason why I changed for number 7, right? Because application lifecycle, they wrote it out in 3 words and usually would have blank, blank. So that's I'm hoping not. because it says right here, application lifecycle breaks the phases of application into units and breaks it into units, which doesn't really go with the definition of management, right? Because the life cycle is just telling you the different phases, whereas management is something. So we're going to stick with what we have, configuration and change management. Number 8, users can be granted blank at the account level to perform a wide array of operations. The capability to manage cloud operations may allow the administrator to add, remove, or modify user accounts and the services they are allowed to access. I have no idea what you just asked me. What? Users can be granted blank authorization, access? Wait, what? Users can be granted blank at the account level to perform a wide variety of operations. You can be provided access, granted access. That's what you grant. Permission. Really? Would permission be an answer? EJ thinks 7 is application management. You know, that was tripping me up too because it's talking about the management of software application. So that's why I was confused as to why there's not 3 blanks. So that way this isn't application lifecycle. Because I don't think they put lifecycle as one word. Let's try, we'll just do lifecycle or management. And thank you for the permission. Maybe yeah, I have no idea. Or maybe it was just me because I might have broken it out into 3 and not 2. Number 8, permission does fit. So I'll take that one. Either permission or access. All right. Number 9, enforcing password blank may require a non-dictionary word that is 8. See, I didn't read this part. That is 8 or more characters in length and contain at least 1 uppercase letter and special character. So enforcing password security. Complexity. That's true. Why don't they talk? You know what it is because I always look to the summary for the words. Usually they put the words that they will be asking here, but they're getting smart at me because they ain't doing that. How else am I supposed to cheat the system? It could be anything, exactly. So EJ says complexity, Mike says policy, I said security. So I'll put both. We'll see. It might be either or. Honestly, truly, you never know with this book. All right, number 10. All change request documents must include, this is the one I think, must include a detailed formal plan on the steps to be taken to implement and if required. Oh, I was about to say change management, but that actually does not fit here. All change complexity. Did you look at the answer already? All change request documents must include a detailed formal plan on the steps to be taken to implement and, if required, document requests. All change request documents must include a detailed formal plan on the steps to be taken and, if required, blank the changes. All change request documents must include a detailed formal plan, okay, on the steps to be taken, okay, and if required, document. I don't know why, what would be 2 letters? Because change request document, like change management, but change management doesn't fit in this sentence. And then that's a good one. I'm going to leave that one blank. We're going to say, I don't know. All right. 1 blank isn't bad because usually I would have like 4 by now. So shout out to you guys. All right, let's do some review questions. We have 20 in total. I don't know. I don't. Let me read that one more time. Okay, hold on. Okay. All change request documents must include a detailed formal plan on the steps to be taken to implement. That makes sense. And if required, roll back the changes. Rollback. Rollback is one word or two? I don't know. Let's see. I don't feel like it's rollback. That's why I put I don't know. All change requests must include a detailed formal plan, and if required, take back the changes. Change approval. Right, because it's like the way that the blank blank is, it's two words that makes the sentence make sense, but I feel like all of the ones that I think make sense doesn't fit in the sentence. Like it just doesn't, it sounds like Ebonic. Like that's not it. I'm gonna put rollback. I don't think it's that, but we'll see. Let's head over to the questions. Number one. All right. Carol, hold on. Let me drink some agua. Cool. So change approval. That is it. Change approval of the changes was one you didn't get. What do you mean? Are you saying that is? Are you saying that fits in, or are you saying you don't understand change approval? Mike, let me know. All right, Carol, and we can go back to that one at the end. Like once we get the answer, we can go back to that one. Pay me no mind. Okay, cool. So Carol is collecting information on objects to monitor in her community cloud deployment. She's interested in establishing a baseline to produce a trend analysis report. Gotcha, Mike. We can come back to it. We can go over change approval if you want. What are some objects that she could natively monitor? Choose all that apply. And then we got the none of above or all of above. Girl, y'all tried me last time. So we already know availability is one, instance initialization is one, task run time, total storage, and mean time between failure are all metrics for her to produce trends for, and therefore I'm gonna go with G, all of the above. Y'all be trying to get me, click all that apply. Girl, y'all tried me yesterday. What's that? Oh, don't click on that website. Okay. Tipofthehat.com's IT department wants to know what its normal day-to-day web hit count is so it can plan for the upcoming holiday selling season. Jim's job is to measure the incoming web requests and graph them against delay and misconnection counts. What type of data set is Jim producing? Is he producing a metric, a variance, a baseline, or a smoothing? So if he's trying to understand what his normal day-to-day is so they can plan for the future, he needs to measure incoming web requests and graph them against delay. I'm going with he's trying to establish like a baseline, and the baseline will tell him, hey, like this is my day-to-day, and then here is the variance or the anomalies that are happening based off of such and such, or like here, or for in their case, if for this question, they're planning for their upcoming holiday season. So therefore, if they establish a baseline and they know that this is where their normal day-to-day is, then when their sales spike, they know how much they need to allot for later. So yeah, C. We on the same page, EJ, as always. All right, number 3. Elaine. Okay, Elaine is, I'm gonna give him a good one for Elaine because I have an auntie Elaine. So they got one pass with one name up in here, but not the rest. Okay. Elaine works in IT security and is reviewing user count policies. She needs to strengthen passwords. Oh, Mike, it might be policies. But we'll come back. Elaine works in IT securities, reviewing user account policies. She needs to strengthen passwords by enforcing a mandatory minimum of a non-dictionary word that is 6 or more characters in length, contains at least one uppercase letter, and contains a special character. What is she defining? Oh, complexity. EJ, you be out here. It is complexity. But I guess they have that as a user count policy. But it really depends, right? So like we're going by this definition. You will pass the exam. So we're going by this definition of like password complexity, which is something that's out there. But like I have seen before where it's called password policy, it's called password security, it's called password complexity. Like all of that really does kind of mean the same thing. It's like establishing some level of definition behind what passwords your users need to set or what policies you need your users' passwords to adhere to. All right, number 4. Yeah, exactly. Password policy. Exactly. I've seen all kinds of naming conventions for it. So, number 4, Donald has been tasked by the IT security group in his company to prevent dictionary login attacks to the company's virtual machines running in a private cloud at a remote data center. You have been brought in to offer him advice. They are interchangeable. I'm going to figure out how to get the chat to like show, because I would like you guys to see what's happening. All right, so you've been brought in to offer him advice to deter the random but steady login attacks. What would you recommend he enable to prevent this type of cyber attack? So he needs to prevent dictionary login attacks to the company's virtual machines, and you need to offer him advice to deter the steady but random attacks. So you have object, SSO, LDAP, lockout, access control list. So, wait, where did that go? Okay. So the issue here is that someone's trying to do a dictionary login attack, and they're trying to deter the random but steady login attacks, right? So one of the options is lock them out, and doing a lockout will prevent them to be able to do back-to-back attacks, right? Because if you don't have a lockout policy or you don't have a lockout threshold, so like after say 3 attempts, you would get locked out, similar to like iPhones. With iPhones, you should enable it, but iPhones have it where after 10 tries or after a couple of tries, it'll start to lock you out. I think the first time it locks you out for 60 seconds. The second time it locks you out for like a couple of minutes until it locks you out for like an hour or so. So yeah, D, lockout policy for dictionary attacks. All right, number 5, Christina is configuring her public cloud object storage bucket for granular access from a new Linux virtual machine. She wants to set the permissions on the storage system. What would you recommend? I'm going to read that one more time. Christina is configuring her public cloud object storage bucket for more granular access from a new Linux VM. She wants to set permissions on the storage system. What would I recommend? SSO, permission-based federation, ACLs. If she wants more granular access, I'm thinking ACLs. ACLs give you that granular permission. Because federations and SSO is more of authentication, and permission-based doesn't really make sense. So I'm thinking ACLs, which is A. All right, number 6. Lisa is reviewing the maintenance responsibilities between her company and its public cloud service provider. She notices that the cloud provider takes responsibility for the operating system, and she needs to assume responsibility for any application or services running on the operating system. So what type of service model is she operating under? So the key word here when it comes to maintenance and like responsibilities and stuff is the operating system. So if the cloud service provider is taking responsibility for the operating system, I automatically want to go to infrastructure as a service. Wait, no, infrastructure as a service, you pick your operating system as well. So platform as a service? Yes. It's definitely not D, because D I think is anything as a service. So that doesn't make sense here, right? And then software as a service doesn't make sense here because you don't have responsibility of the application or services, you just use the application. But when it comes to the difference between infrastructure as a service and platform as a service, infrastructure as a service gives you everything. I know you pick the operating system, you do the firewalls, you do the application, you do the data maintenance and all of that good stuff. And then with platform as a service, you have responsibility over when it comes to like development. So like you get to pick the languages that you're going to use in the platform. You sometimes get a little bit more granular over security. I'm thinking B2, but I remember last time, so I think it was chapter like 1 or 2, there was a question like this where it tripped me up because it said that it mentioned operating system in that we didn't have responsibility for the operating system, but it said that the answer was infrastructure as a service. And I was like, what you mean? Like what do you mean? So I'm thinking B as well, simply because it said that the cloud service provider is taking responsibility for the operating system. So let's go with that. Let's see how that goes. Number 7. Okay, Dawn, hey girl. So Dawn has been working in the NOC and has been tasked with performing a root cause analysis on a recent outage that affected the middle tier web stack in a private cloud. She's looking at the log files generated and notices there are more than 430 logs that were generated at the time the site failed. What function does Dawn need to perform to distill all of those log files into a meaningful report? You have baseline, event analysis, event correlation, or logging. I'm automatically going to go with event correlation because I remember that being a definition in terms of you have a bunch of logs and you're trying to figure out how can I make sense of all of this data, right? I have 430 logs. As a human, it would take you forever to go through these logs, but if you can use some kind of dashboard or if you can use something that can help you correlate this, like if Splunk, right? Use it to like correlate things. So I'm gonna go with C. All right, number 8. To increase tip-of-the-hats.com security posture, Allison is reviewing her company's user accounts that access the Fleet Cloud resources. Allison notices that the summer interns have left to go back to school, but their accounts are still active. She knows they'll return for the winter corporate announcements and new product rollouts to assist in the project over winter break. What would you suggest Allison do with these accounts? That's a good one. Okay, so you could do nothing. You could delete the accounts, disable accounts, change the resource access definition, modify configuration settings, or change the access control. Automatically, I'm like, disable the accounts, girl. You shouldn't have them. You should even if like, you know, a contractor, an intern, or whoever is coming back, there is no way you can have accounts still left open because that is just opening yourself up for like somebody to come take over, especially if it's an intern. You know their password is the name of their dog or something, or it's the name of their boyfriend or their whomever's. You were just opening yourself up. That is a no-no. All right, number 9. To make sure that all users are allowed to access only approved resources, Marie is auditing her public cloud identity system. She wants to control specific access and operations. What is Marie defining? 1 second. Whoa, girl. Whoa. Okay, cool. So to make sure all users are allowed to access only approved resources, she's auditing her public cloud identity system. She wants to control specific access. What is she defining? She's defining federated access, resource access definitions, user permission, ACLs. So she's auditing her public cloud identity systems. I remember them saying resource access definitions. What was that in conjunction with? So it's not federated access. And it's not access control lists. Wait. Let me read it again. Okay, so to make sure that all of the users are allowed to access only approved resources, which is getting a little bit more granular, Marie is auditing her identity system. She wants to control specific access. So she's defining resource access definitions. I want to say that. B or C. Yeah, exactly. User permissions. For some, I would say, let's go with my gut. My gut is saying B. Okay, exactly, right? I started thinking too hard. I'm gonna just go with it. My gut said B. Dang, but I want to say C. That's what happens. I get in my head. I want to say C now. I'm not. Let's just go with it. All right, let's do number 10. To promote consistent cloud monitoring and to reduce configuration overhead, Lisa has created a number of policies to obtain baseline data. What type of policies is Lisa creating? Collection, dissemination, notification, or publishing? So what is she doing again? She's to promote consistent cloud monitoring and reduce overhead. She's created a number of policies to obtain baseline data. What type of policies is she creating? Collection data? To promote consistent cloud monitoring and reduce overhead. So notification is out for me. So B and C I don't think it's making sense to me. For some reason, I want to go with A and D. And no, actually D doesn't. I want to go with collection. She's created a number of policies to obtain baseline data. Yeah, I'm gonna go with A and see how that goes. Oh yeah, EJ, we just Matt is preparing for an upcoming promotion his company is offering during a major soccer game. He needs to determine his options to add capacity. He needs to determine his options to add capacity to his company's web server farm so it can handle the anticipated additional workload. You're brought in to consult with him on his options. What do you recommend as a possible solution? Choose 3. All right, we have 3 options here. So he's preparing for an upcoming promotion, which means he needs to add more capacity, which is like scaling horizontally. Yes? Yes. Okay, so I definitely am with the horizontal scaling. I'm definitely with the cloud bursting because remember, cloud bursting means they are adding capacity using another cloud provider or whoever, cloud option. So definitely B and D. And not A, because vertical would just mean that I'm adding more compute resources like RAM. That doesn't really make sense here because he needs more capacity. So I'm thinking core elasticity because elasticity is the ability to scale out and to add more capacity. So I'm thinking B, D, and E. Right? B. Yeah, B, D, and E. Please. Hate that choose all that apply. Okay, Bob, why won't you let me? I feel you. So let me highlight all of it. Ooh, you said, okay, you don't like that? You don't like that answer? No? So edge caching doesn't make sense to me because edge caching, I'm gonna come back to 11. So edge cache, vertical scaling, right? Vertical scaling, if I'm adding RAM, is just the ability for my virtual machine to maybe run faster or have more performance, but not necessarily have load management. Whereas horizontal scaling does that. Edge cache is about reaching or having my users be able to like reach my information on my website faster. So, right? Unless I'm mistaken. So like horizontal is this way. So if I'm scaling out, I'm adding more nodes, that's this way. Whereas vertical scaling is when I'm adding more RAM. So that's like the ability to like improve my performance. But we'll see. Exactly. I think a CDN as well. Okay. So number 12. Bob is configuring an event notification service. He notices there are many different devices and services that can be subscribed to the notification system's published events queue. The notification services offer each event to be sent to a fan out of multiple devices that can act upon the received information. What are examples of the notification server receivers? Ooh, I did not read that in this chapter. So I don't know. But I feel like when they choose all that apply, it's usually all of the above. And I'm going to go with that. Windows, Android. So basically, I think what they're asking is what can a push notification be pushed out to? Or receivers, like what kind of devices can receive push notifications? Windows OS, Androids, APIs, service queues, launch scripts. I feel like all of that can do that. Or that's what I'm going to say. You know, I'm going to just go with it because all that apply now equals all of above. I'm going to go with it. Okay, number 13. Samantha has been monitoring her cloud web server dashboard and notices that the CPU utilization on her company's database servers has been consistently at more than 80% utilization. She's checked her baseline and reported that 57% utilization is normal. So what is she noticing? Is it deviation, variance, triggers, a baseline imbalance? Of course, we're going to go with variance. Variance means that it's above or below her threshold or her baseline that she established, which was 57%. So that is B. All right. Okay, cool. 14? 14, yes. So Mindy has a SQL database backend that runs on a multi-CPU instance that has reached 100% utilization. The database supports a single server. So what option does she have to support the requirements of this data? Now, if the database can only support a single server, that means she cannot scale out horizontally, and therefore she needs to scale vertically, which is B. She needs more resources because she's already reached. Wait a minute. And she's reached, oh yes, no, I'm right? See, hold on. She's reached 100% utilization. No, I think I'm right. Because if she can only support a single server, she can't add another server. And I was thinking of bursting, but bursting doesn't make sense because they can't support it. I am right. See, I'm overthinking. All right, 15. 15, what is the ability to automatically and dynamically add additional resources such as storage, CPUs, memory, and even servers referred to as? Automatically, I'm going with, okay, so automatically I wanted to go with elasticity. Oh, it's like orchestration is the management. Okay, not that. So orchestration can automatically do that. So it's not bursting or pooling, because that doesn't make sense. But elasticity is the ability to scale in and scale out. Okay, I'm going to go with my gut. See, I'm thinking too much. I'm going to go with C. I'm going to go with C. We're gonna go with it. Okay, 16. Ethel. Ethel. You said okay. Do you think D? That's tripping me up because I like D is not like D isn't wrong. I don't think D is wrong, but I'm trying to figure out with orchestration. So orchestration is really, I'm torn. Me too. So like orchestration, so the only thing that's differentiating for me is like when I think of orchestration, I'm thinking about the management piece, right? So it's managing things, the ability. I don't know, because when you say the ability, right? So, the ability. Because ability can mean so many things. Like, so with orchestration, orchestration gives you that automatic ability, whereas elasticity really is just a definition. So are they asking it? I don't know. Okay, we said C. We're going to stick with C. We're going to do it. We're not going to change it. Okay, that candle smells good. I got my candle from Jackie Aina. I'm a big Jackie Aina fan, and it smells so good. All right, 16. Ethel is the network architect for a hybrid cloud operation and has her interconnected private cloud. Oh, yeah. She has her, I lost my train of thought. Okay. She's an architect for a hybrid cloud operation and has interconnected her private cloud to a community cloud in another province. She's investigating using the community cloud to supplement her private cloud operations during the end of month processing. What operation is she going to perform? Automatically, I think of bursting because she's using another cloud as like her backup to be able to like scale out. Right. All right, 17. George and Wendy are working together as cloud engineers to combine two like systems into one. What type of activity would necessitate this? Choose two. All right, automatically F and E doesn't make sense because those are regulations, which can do it, but doesn't really require you to merge or combine systems. Bursting doesn't really make sense here. Divestiture, if I'm not mistaken, means you are separating from a company, and therefore merger and acquisition is standing out to me here. Like merger and acquisition is usually when two IT department. What? Number 17 is bursting? Oh, we're talking about 16, right? Don't trip me up, EJ. I hope you're talking about 16 and not 17. Yeah, okay. I know you're good. I was about to say, oh, shh. I was about to say, let's call this entire exam. Okay. Number 18. Allison is preparing to modify a network access control list and add 3 firewall rules to her private cloud HR systems. She's planning on submitting a detailed plan to accomplish these tasks. What process is Allison following? So she's modifying a network access control list. She's adding 3 firewall rules, and she plans on submitting a plan in order to accomplish this. So she is following change management. So you remember that, hold on, let me write this answer down. So remember this, so she's planning on submitting a detailed plan, right? So do you remember this one, number 10, where it says all change request documents must include, a detailed formal plan on the steps to be taken to implement, and if required, submit the changes? That still doesn't make sense. Change management. Okay, never mind. Yes, 18 is C. I agree with the both of you. All right, let's do 19. Okay, what does the application lifecycle include? Deployments, upgrades, migration, retirements, none of the above, all of the above. This is the first time that they didn't say choose all that apply, but I'm still gonna go with all the above. All right, last one. Dimitri has been tasked to develop a cross-cloud provider migration plan as part of his company's business continuity plan as he assesses the feasibility of migrating applications from one public cloud provider to another. What does he find is the service model that has the most lock-in and is the most complex to migrate? So if he's developing a cross-cloud provider migration plan, and as he assesses the feasibility of migrating applications from one provider to another, which service model has the most lock-in and is the most complex to migrate? So most lock-in, if I'm not mistaken, is infrastructure as a service, because of just how much services and like how much, like they say, complexity that you build out your infrastructure, like you're building out your infrastructure with. Whereas if it was software as a service and I'm migrating to another plan, because I'm not involved with anything but the data, it's really just a data migration. Whereas infrastructure as a service will require me to like map out all of my virtual machines, all of my firewall rules, all of my group policy, like all of that kind of good stuff. So I'm thinking infrastructure as a service, which is A. Right? That's what I'm thinking. All right, we did all 20. Let's go ahead and check our answers, shall we? Let's start with, what do I want to do? I want to start with written labs. All right, chapter 7, right? All right, chapter 7. Oh, I was right. Okay. So number 1 was metric. Dang. Number 2 is orchestration. You were right about the anomaly. Okay, so let me write down what I had wrong. Oops, don't delete it, girl. What was that answer? No. Now I'm wondering if we actually got the orchestration question wrong. Number 3 was variance. Number 4 is trigger. Number 5 is infrastructure and SLA. Oh, number 6 was change management. Wow. Okay. Okay, EJ. Change, not configuration. Number 7 is lifecycle management, which is what I thought. So lifecycle management. Number 8 is permissions, which is good. So we got that right. And then number 9 was complexity. Great job. And then I said rollback, back out. I feel like that's the same thing. So I feel like that's right. I'm gonna mark myself right. Okay, that wasn't too bad. Why I put variance equal? Wait, stop it. I'm typing too quickly. Anomaly. Anomaly. Close. Yeah, exactly. It's close enough. So, okay, I see where I went wrong. Change management and configuration management, like those definitions can be a little bit tricky. Variance and anomaly really are, I want to go back to how they defined it, right? Because so variance is the above and beyond changes, and anomaly is like the actual change. Like if something is different from what of what you normally expected, it can be an anomaly or a variance. Like what do you? So I'm gonna go back to that. All right, so let's check the review questions, and then we can go back. And like Mike, I know you said that you had issues with change management, right? So we can go back to that. Was it change approval? Yes, we can go back to that. All right, so let's check it out. All right, let's go to the answers. Chapter 7. Okay, chapter 7 is G. We started off good. C, number 2, 3 is C, number 4 is D, number 5 is A, number 6 is B, 7 is C, 8 is C, 9 is B, 10 is A, 11, dang, I was so close, A, D, E. What was A? Golly, it was so close. We was on a roll. 10 in a row, 10 right in a row. That's a record. We ain't never get that. Okay. 12 is F, 13 is B. Wait, I'm bugging out. 12 is F, 13 is B. Dang, 14. 14 is B? Okay, hold on. 15 is C, 16 is B, 17 is B, 18 is C. They got me with the all the above thing. And then 19 is F. Oops, wait, what did I just do? '19 is F. Managing the life cycle of an application will include deployment upgrades. Okay, we're going to go back to that question too. And then 20, the higher up the stack you go from infrastructure as a service, software as a service, the more difficult it will be to migrate. With infrastructure as a service, most of the cloud operations are under your direct control. I had it backwards. You know, because I was, okay, I'm going to say that in a second. Hold on. So this was C. So for the last question where it was like, which one is most difficult to migrate? My thought process would be if I had to set up all of my policies and my firewall and my data, my application and my VPCs and all XYZs, I thought that would be difficult to migrate across clouds considering you need to map like for like. But I guess here they're saying because infrastructure as a service gives you the most flexibility and you have the most control, that's easier. Whereas so I can see why they're saying software as a service, because you have no control over software as a service. You just use that service. So it is what it is when you go across. That is good to know. All right. So 19 is F. Yeah, that does make sense. It makes completely sense. So let's go back because I want to see the questions again. Okay, so I got that one. This one, okay, I messed up on this one because I definitely said F. I said all the above. Okay, so that's not a wrong one. I'm like, how is that A? How did I get that wrong when I said everything is all the above? Okay. Whew. That's a false alarm. So I was about to be sick. Okay, sick. Okay, cool. So I understand why I got 20 wrong. Let's go back to 14 because I think that's the one that we were going back and forth on. Am I bugging or am I bugging? I don't remember putting bursting. Did I get something wrong here? I didn't put bursting for number 14 because this is the one EJ and I were talking about, the difference between horizontal scaling and vertical scaling, because I said that it supports a single server. So maybe I wrote that wrong. But either way, I think my answer was yeah, no, I feel like I put B. That must have been a typo. Am I out here and I only got 2 wrong? What was I thinking just now? Because I remember we were talking about vertical scaling. No, this isn't that question. Oh, this wasn't what we were talking about, doing vertical versus horizontal. But I do remember for this one where I said that if the database only can support a single server, it can't do horizontal scaling because horizontal scaling means I add nodes. If I can't add a node, then I need to do vertical scaling. So I do remember 14 at least saying vertical scaling. Okay, that's fine. So let's see what number. Oh, I had 3 options. Okay, cool. What was the answer for this? So the answer for number 14 is B. Oh, but I wrote it wrong. Okay. I don't know what's wrong with me today. Okay, but the answer for this, Mike, for 14 was B, vertical scaling. And then the last one was 11. So 11 was A, D, and E. And why did I get that? Oh, so this is what you, okay, yeah. So this is the vertical versus horizontal that we were talking about. Okay, now I see what you mean. So let me read it again. He's preparing for upcoming promotion. He needs to determine to add capacity to his web server farm so he can anticipate additional workload. I'm actually interested. Did they give us the like explanation? Let's see. Number 7, that was 11, right? All right, so number 11 is A, B, and D. And they said cloud computing operates with a utility-based utility business model that charges you only for the resources you consume. So with this model enables you to scale your cloud feed to meet its current workload and be able to add and remove capacity as needed. There are many options to use elasticity to scale cloud operations, including vertical and horizontal scaling and bursting. That does not help me at all because you can use horizontal here. Yeah, that's tripping me up because if I'm a company who knows that in the future, if I'm having a holiday sale and I want to make sure I can handle the bandwidth or the capacity or the whatever the word is, I can do both. I can horizontally scale, which means I'm adding nodes so that way both of my nodes can handle the workload and that they're both not reaching, you know, that my one node isn't reaching 100% capacity. Exactly. That's what I was wondering. Mike asked why, can I show that? He was asking why wouldn't horizontal work with this? And I have no idea. They don't explain that because my thought process is horizontal would help me in this way. Because if I don't have the restriction, one of the questions had a restriction where she can only use one virtual, her database, her system can only handle one server. So if you can only handle one server, you can't use horizontal scaling. You would have to vertically scale. But if there's no restrictions here, I don't understand why I would add more RAM instead of being able to add more nodes, or you have both of those options. Oh, EJ. I can't read. You're right. I'm an idiot. Thank you. Thank you for saving my life. Because I was about to be like, I don't understand why they telling me I can't horizontally scale. I know what I'm talking about. What's happening? Okay, so that means let's come back. Listen, sometimes you gotta, this is why I have you guys here, because I will be out here talking, trying to fight somebody because I know I'm right. And I want to know why you're not saying I'm right. Okay, so it's A, B, and D. Okay. I put E. So that was what was wrong. So I got the B and the D right. I just needed one more. All right, we in there. We good. So really, in all actuality, right? Because the answer you said was A, vertical scaling, which they can do. B, horizontal scaling, which they also can do. And cloud bursting is also what they can do because that's using another cloud provider as your thingy. All right, we're here now. We're here. Okay, cool. So that really means that we just got one wrong and the 20 that we got wrong. I know. Good job, EJ. Like, I just, first off, I wear contacts anyway, so I can't really see out here. Like my glasses aren't here. So um yeah, so 20, I understand why we got wrong in terms of like being able to migrate. And then number 11, I shouldn't have gotten wrong. I just didn't read it right because it makes sense. So we did really, really good with the review questions. Written lab, let's go back to that because that also was tripping me up. Okay, so they said number 2 is using metrics to trigger orchestration systems. You can use thresholds to react to events at all layers of your cloud deployment. Now that I'm rereading it and that the answer is orchestration, because it says at all layers of your cloud deployment, orchestration handles all the different all the different layers of cloud versus monitoring, which kind of is just giving you like an alerting dashboard. Like it's just like I can see why they said that, I guess. What about Harry? Who's that at my door? They finna be out there. All right. So once Harry has determined what is considered to be a baseline during normal web server operations, if my roommate comes out, you're about to hear the dog bark because he be going crazy. He can use that as a reference to determine what is considered to be a blank or a system that is reporting metrics either above or below his expectations. That is, we're going to look up the definition of variance and anomaly in a second. And blank is the process of managing all aspects of the ongoing upgrades, repairs, and configurations. Change management. Okay, I get change management. I totally understand that one. So let's look up the definition of variance and anomaly because that is what got me. Can I do a search? Let's check. I should be able to. Let's do a search. Oh, the problem is it's going to search the entire book, and I didn't want to do that. Okay, yeah. Is this cloud metrics? Okay, cool. Anomalies. Once you determine what is considered to be your baseline during normal operations, you can use that as a reference to determine what is considered to be an anomaly or a system that reports metrics either above or below expectations. Okay, anomaly is the literal definition. So then what is variance? Variance. Not chapter 9, chapter 7. Okay. Oops, nope, it's not along. Nope. 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 Sorry, I'm trying to look for, okay, cool, cloud metrics. Cool. All right, what is a variance? You can use the monitoring and alerting functions of the application to determine the baseline and use the baseline as a reference point to determine what's considered outside of your range. This is referred to as variance. Oh, you're right. I see it now. So I guess if I have to think about the questions, right? So when it came to variance, I remember it was saying, I remember the question was saying something like her baseline is 57, for example, and it was at 80%. And that was a variance, right? And I'm thinking because it said the number, that is what would be the difference between variance and anomaly. Whereas an anomaly is just saying that a system is reporting it's above my expectations. So an anomaly is happening and the variance is, hey, I'm at 57, I'm supposed to be at 57%, but instead it's 80 or it's 100 or it's XYZ. That's what I'm thinking. I'm not sure. It would require, I think, looking into this a little bit more. But at this point, cool. All right, that was a good session. I understand what was wrong And we did really, really good on the review questions, despite me not being able to see properly and clearly writing my answers wrong. Change management. Before I go anywhere for Mike, let's do change management real quick, because I think they had a part. We did good. Yeah, I'm proud of us. We're doing better. Like each chapter, at least we're doing better and not doing worse, right? Because that would be something. So let's see. I think this chapter had change management involved with it. Okay, yeah, the change management process. Bum, 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 bum. All right, so change management is also in chapter 2. That is another live that we had done before. But basically, change management is the process of managing all aspects of ongoing changes, upgrades, repairs, and configurations. That is the definition of it. It involves planning and managing changes to minimize any disruptions. So the processes that involve, or like the outline of it, it outlines policies and procedures and provides a standardized process to follow, which means you need to record the change, you need to plan for the change, you need to test the change, you got to have documentation for the change, then you got to get approval for the change, you need to evaluate and validate these changes, and then you also need to include instructions for backing out of the change in case like some shit goes downhill or something goes wrong, and then have a post-change review, meaning like after I make all of these changes, if everything is going right, let me come back and make sure that like things are running appropriately. So if I'm making a change on, for example, just something as simple as like adding a node, right? That is a change in your infrastructure. And I want to make sure I'm documenting, even if it's simple, right? We've had at companies during our change management process, something that is so simple, adding a virtual machine, right? Adding a virtual machine in the cloud is really simple, right? It's this matter of literally clicking a button, picking which virtual machine you want, picking all the different specifications of it, and then deploying it. But because that is a change in your infrastructure, something that is affecting that can affect it. It requires you to document that, test it, make sure it's right? Especially if you might do something wrong, you can say, hey, I'm going to add a virtual machine that's supposed to be a Linux virtual machine that has this amount of capacity because I have a sale happening in 3 days. So it needs to be able to be this big. It needs to be able to handle this bandwidth. And then if it doesn't, you know, what went wrong? What didn't I do right? I didn't add the right capacity. I didn't pick the right OS. I didn't pick the right RAM, like XYZ. So making sure that you're documenting, testing it, validating it, and then testing it post changes is super important. So really, as long as you understand these steps, where does it start? Recording the change, planning, testing, document, approval, evaluate, validate. As long as you know those steps, that's kind of the key to really understanding change management. And each company does change management, unfortunately, differently. But that is supposed to be like the standardized, formal way of doing so. Exactly. Yes. So Mike said, essentially for any planned change, you need to complete documentation of the process form. Yes. That means from the get-go, when you say, hey, I want to add a virtual machine to my infrastructure, that means you need to start documentation. What is the specifications of that virtual machine? Why are you making this change? Who's going to make the change? So if I'm the person, the engineer who's actually going to deploy the virtual machine, my name needs to be on it. I need to put the date. I need to put the time of when I'm going to do it. I need to put the specifications of the virtual machine that I'm going to add. I need to put who is approving it. I need to put my backup plans. I need to put how I'm going to test the virtual machine before I put it into production. I need to put how I'm going to validate it, who's going to validate it, who's going to do the approval process, and then who's going to do the post-change review. Like all of that should be documented from the get-go. And then that's your actual change management process. And then you go ahead and do the actual steps, if that makes sense. If that makes sense. All right. Today was a really, really good session. and I'm super happy with the progress. Exams on Monday. It is what it is at this point. I'm hungry now. I really, really, really want to go get some pizza, but I got my bikinis in today for my trip that's coming up, and I'm super excited, and I look good, so I can't eat pizza now, especially because I'm going to get fried chicken tomorrow. So I can only have one bad thing a day. I mean, one bad thing a week. So yeah, dang, some pizza would be good. That's how you know marketing works. Thank you. Hopefully I do great and we all get the test next year. That'd be actually pretty cool. But look at me about to talk about eating pizza. Oh, I'm so sorry you joined late. There'll definitely be a replay, and I'm gonna be back tomorrow and Sunday to do chapter 8, 9, and 10. Not double cheat days. The exam we're preparing for is the CompTIA Cloud Plus Beta exam. Now there's 2 Cloud Plus exams. There's 2 Cloud Plus exams. One is the version 2, which is actually out, and there's a beta exam. And the regular Cloud Plus exam, you can know your results right away, so you'll know if you pass. Or you could do the Cloud Beta exam, and you won't know your results till next spring. I can't take it in October. Dio, I said I wasn't going to reschedule. Like I said it on the internet, on Beyonce's internet. I said I won't reschedule. I just want to get it over with. Like I'm done. I want to get it over with. So I'm gonna just do it. I'm gonna do it on Monday. For the most part, again, because I work in cloud, I'm very familiar with cloud concepts. I'm familiar with doing things. I think it's just a matter of like understanding how this test in particular defines things. How do they word things? How do they word like how their questions are and questions and answers? Because you can work in cloud and know how to do all of this, but you can take an exam, like applying it and doing an exam for it are 2 different things, right? You would think it translates, and it does, but really tests are designed, honestly, in a way that I don't think is very practical. So yeah, I just wanted to take the exam to see how it is. You want an exam breakdown on Tuesday? I might have to do it on Monday because I'll forget. Like once I take an exam, out of sight, out of mind, I will forget everything. So I think once I finish the exam, I might do a really quick live on Monday. It'll probably be morning, early afternoon, where I kind of brain dump the kind of questions that I saw. I can't tell you the questions because what I'm not trying to have is CompTIA come from my coins. No, ma'am. But I can kind of just tell you my experience with taking it. And this is my first time taking an exam private at home too. So I know they require like a whole bunch of, your desk got to be clear. I got to show them everything, all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, I'll definitely tell you guys on Monday. What time am I taking it? 10:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's when I'm supposed to log in, but I don't know if it starts right away because I saw that there's a bunch of steps that you got to do or something like that. And I think they allocated like 2 hours or so. I don't have time for 2 hours. So yeah, we will see. We will see come Monday, but log in earlier. No. Definitely, yeah. I'm definitely logging in earlier than that to make sure. Because the last thing I need is exam. I'm like, now you got to run me my 50. Run it. So yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. We'll do chapter 8 and then chapter 9 on Sunday. Well, chapter 9 and 10 on Sunday. Chapter 9 on Sunday. We'll see how I feel about doing chapter 10. You just take a picture of your room? That's crazy. Because what does that do? Oh, well, I guess they want to make sure that like, so like if we see the way my, the space that I'm in, you can see this wall, but you can't see this one. So maybe on this one, I might have a list of all the cloud concepts or all of the definitions. I can see why they would make you take a picture, several pictures. Like, I understand that. Because, like, otherwise, if you didn't, it would be so easy for people to just be like, let me cheat and put everything in there. Unplug and cover up any extra monitors. Dang, you gotta do all of that? My lab, literally just me and my laptop. That's it. Can I have lights? Can I have anything? No, no notes on the wall. I wish. You know how easy, like I was about to say, yeah, you know, it's funny when this pandemic first started and they started to offer tests at home, I was like, yo, how you, I could just have, you know, I could just, but I imagined that they would have super stringent protocols to figure out how do I make sure that you go, I'm going to find out, I am going to find out. They're going to be like, listen, little baby, you see that thing over there? I need you to take that down. I need you to move that. I need you to shut this off. Also, the app blocks your system. Yeah. Okay, I guess I am going to find out on Monday. So how about, can I go in the, oh wait, I'm not going to go in the closets because I got shit in the closet too. So, but I'm having like monitors. Well, it was too much work. The only thing I can access is a test. Okay, that makes sense. Because that's how it is. Like when you go into the proctoring system, when you go into, like if you go walk into the test, the thing is locked where you can only access the application. Like I've seen it before. So that works. Well, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Friday evening. As always, thank you so much for studying with me. We are doing really, really well. I'm super excited for everyone to become a cloud security engineer. Like, again, when y'all make it big, like when y'all out here and y'all out here doing all y'all things and y'all go and teach other people and y'all doing, just remember, I just like, you know, remember little old me, remember little old Dominique when y'all make it big. When y'all on the big stage and y'all giving y'all talks at DEF CON and the rest of them, just be like, Dominique, that's my friend. Anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow, right? Yeah, tomorrow. Actually, tomorrow, I'll do it same. I don't know if I'm gonna do it same time tomorrow. I ain't gonna mess it up. All right. Bye, guys.